there are literally three systems that are robbing you every single day, and then they're blaming you for not having money that they're taking away from you. And before I tell you what those three systems are, the thing that I want to tell you is you want to stay to the end, because I want to share with you a way where you can actually break away from these systems and figure out a way how you can spend every single dollar you earn at least twice. Now, when it comes to these systems, they never allow you to do that. And these three systems that I'm speaking of that truly robs you every single day and then blames you for being broke, or blame you for being poor, or just blame you for not having the money that is truly yours to have, is the government, the media, and the banks. Every area and aspect of your life, these three entities, they know your financial situation better than you do, because they study you on a level where you're not even aware of, and they actually work together. And when you think about any major purchase that you want to make, we've been conditioned and we've been told and we've been programmed to believe that the only way that we can go and get something that's a major purchase that we want is to go through the banks. And the banks, again, depending on how you use it, it can be one of the worst relationships you can ever get in, is the best way that I can say it. Because I want you to think about it from this perspective. When you go to a bank, whether it's for a car or whether it's for a house, they never physically give you the money that you need qualifying for. So if you want to get a $300,000 loan for a house, they never physically give you the money. They punch up some numbers in a computer and then it's transferred over to an entity, but they never physically give you the money. However, when you think about when you have to pay them back, you have to physically give them money. You have to physically give them currency. And that currency that you are giving them physically came from your effort, your hard work. You go to work, you have a business, some kind of way you made real money. But typically the banks, they loan you fake money. They don't really give you real money. They give you fake money because they only transfer digits in a computer, and it's not them physically giving you something. And I want you to also think about it from this perspective. When banks loan money out, all they need to have is 1/10 of what they're loaning somebody else. So it's something that's called fractional reserve. Do not take my word for it. Go look it up for yourself. So what does that mean? That means that if a bank wants to loan out $1,000, they only need to have $100 in their bank. So they can loan out $1,000, but they only need 100 in their bank. That's proof within itself that they don't have to have real money to loan us. But we're giving them real work. We're giving them real effort. We're giving them real assets, because guess what? Even though they don't loan us real money, they loan us fake money. If we default on our taxes or we default on a payment, they're taking a real asset from us that we work for. Even though they can give us real money for it, but they're taking a real asset from us. And when you think about it, fractional reserve, when will they ever let us loan something out or make a certain amount of money, or have a certain amount of leverage that we don't even have enough to cover it? You can loan out $1,000, but you only have to have 100. Where is that legal anywhere else? It's not. And when you think about banks, that is a system that knows your financial situation much better than you do. And it's not that you're just irresponsible and you don't know. No matter how much you study, they've studied you since birth, based on your zip code, based on your area code, based on your buying habits, based on, like, there's so many different factors that they study us on that we're not even aware of. And it's like they know our steps before we make them. And you think about, it's not by coincidence that you get certain things in the mail from certain banks depending on your certain situation. And again, you can read into that whatever you want to, but we all have different situations. However, the banks, they approach us specifically related to our situations because of their knowledge of us. So many things that we see in the media is funded by people in the background that are also tied to the banking system. And when you think about the government, I don't even, like, this video is not even long enough to talk about the government, but even when you think about taxes, taxes is something that if you live in the United States, to my knowledge up to this point, you don't have the ability to not participate. Everybody has to participate in taxes. And when you think about, you have an entity where they take money from you and they never went to work. You go to work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week and you work for that money, and somebody reaches in your account and they take money from your check before you even get to spend any of it. Why? Because it's set up that way. And even the money you give them, you don't get to determine what happens with that money, who goes, who gets it, how much you might even get back when you can't participate in any of that. And it's like this system is designed, and again, these three systems, specifically the government, it's all designed to funnel your efforts through a system that determines what they're going to do with the money that you work for. And it's like the media is like interwoven into both of those things. So when you think about it, the government, the media, and the banks, they rob you, and they rob me on a daily basis because we participate in this system that is designed for us to work for it, and it doesn't work for us. Because you think about this, if you were to go and buy a house, the example I gave about the $300,000 house, and you get a loan on that house for $300,000, you get a mortgage on it. And if you don't even really realize what the word mortgage is, the word mortgage means until death. So they're banking on you never paying this off and you dying before you pay it off. And that's where the word really came from. And even when you think about, so often people have a 30-year mortgage, but hey, they get a lower interest rate or life happens or whatever, and then they refinance. And sometimes you can get a lower payment. You might even get a little bit of money back. But guess what? You're starting the process all over again, and the banks know it. Here's another thing to consider. When you buy a house, the first 7+ years, you're only paying interest. Like you're not hitting the principal, period. And even when you think about other things where you only paying interest only payments, the banks don't care whether or not you pay for the principal because it's not their money. Like they don't really have anything at stake because everything is fair game. Like everything is a bonus to them when you really think about it. What do they have at risk? Because what they do is the money that we put in the bank, they use our money to lend somebody else to make so much more money off of, and they never give us anything for doing it. And when we go to get a loan from a bank, we have to apply. We have to have certain credit. We have to make certain amount of money. Like all of these different things that we have to have in order to get loans from the bank for us to use, quote unquote, their money, but they never do the same thing for us. We don't require their credit score. We don't require how much money that they make. We don't require the same things from them that they do from us, and they benefit way more from using our money than we do, quote unquote, theirs, because we're really not even using their money. We're using all of the people's money that they put into this bank, and the bank really don't have anything to lose. They don't really have anything to lose at all. And it's like, I want you to just really think about this because there is a better way. And I learned about this about 4 years ago, and it took me really studying to make sure that this was actually something that was sustainable, and it is. And the thing that I want to share with you is this. When you think about a bank, people typically go to a bank whenever they want to have any kind of major purchase, whether it's a car, whether it's a house within itself or home improvements. Like people go to banks for different things, but there's a way where you can actually create your own bank. Now it might take, you doing things a little bit different from what you've been told and just reprogramming your mind and understanding that it's actually possible. And I will say this, full transparency, about 5 years ago at the recording of this video, my wife and I, we were over 6 figures in debt. Now, we paid off $126,000 in 18 months. Now, most people say, that is phenomenal. Congratulations for you. I will say, like, it was great because, like, that burden was lifted. It was phenomenal. However, the thing that I realized is that once we paid off all of that debt, we were back broke. We didn't have any money. But there are ways where you can not only pay off all of your debt and be debt free, but there are ways where you could pay off all of your debt and have money. We didn't know that strategy then, but it's something that you can actually do right now. And no matter where you are, Because some people watching this, you might say, look, I don't have a house, so that doesn't apply to me, or I don't have a car, but whoever you are, if you have any kind of debt, this is applicable to you. And even if you don't have any debt, if you don't want to just like build money and have your money work for you instead of you just working for it, then this is applicable. When you consider the concept of becoming your own bank and having your own bank, the thing that is very important about the bank is that the house always wins. The bank is equivalent to the house. When the banks loan money to somebody who only pays a mortgage one time, no matter what happens, the bank always wins. And it's like when you can become your own bank and you can borrow from yourself, you can pay yourself, you can get paid from yourself, like that is a win-win all the way around. And when you consider what wealth really is, because if you're not already there, most of us want to experience and build wealth, especially generational wealth, if we're family oriented like myself. And when you think about wealth, what wealth really is, wealth is the equivalency of goods and services. That's really what wealth is on its simplest form. So when we exchange goods and services, that is a way for us to build wealth, but also exchange wealth for something that's valuable to us. And when you think about the banks, goods and services, they're not giving us a good, they're not giving us a service, but we're giving them goods and we're giving them services based on the money that we make and that we exchange for security or whatever reason we put money in the bank, because we put money into their banks on autopilot without even questioning, is there another way? And they take all of our money and they use it and they make more money from it. And they don't really give us anything for using our money. And as a matter of fact, if we don't have a certain amount of money in our bank account, they charge us a fee. Like they charge us a fee for not having a certain amount of money in our bank account. And then for whatever reason, if we overdraw on our bank account, let's say $5, they might charge us $30 for just going over $5. And then I want you to think about, if you don't have money in your account, how can you overdraw? You can overdraw because what the bank is really giving you is just a fictitious sense of value by exchanging numbers in a computer and having numbers balance themselves out in a computer, but they're not really giving you any money at all. And it's like we exchange money for goods and services. In some kind of way, the banks have found a brilliant way for us to funnel all of our money through them. And they make tons of money off of our money until now. And so if you are somebody who maybe you've had the $30 or $35 overdraft fee before, or maybe you're somebody who's currently paying $15 to $17 or $20 a month just to have your money in a bank because you don't have a certain amount, or you went below a certain amount in the middle of the month, but they're charging you like over and over again for you not having an amount. But maybe you're somebody who's just sick and tired of how that system worked, and you know that there's something better, but you just didn't know how to access it or what it was until now. So if you are somebody who is sick and tired of this system and you really understand what I'm saying, again, when you understand fractional reserve, it will make you mad, because it's like you see that they're utilizing our money and they're never financially compensating us. And it's like, how can you make, a loan for money that you don't even have? They legally do it all the time. And I want to invite you to create your own bank, become your own bank, borrow from your own self, and create generational wealth. And all of the money that you've been funneling through banks, learn how to funnel it through yourself. And if you have any interest at all in this, I want to invite you to a workshop. I am not the presenter, but I believe in this so much that I really want to help as many people as I can have the experience that I had with creating my own bank. And so now my family and I, We have our own bank. We borrow money from ourselves. When there's a major purchase that we want to make, we go and borrow money from ourselves and we pay ourselves back. And I want to share that same thing with you because somebody else shared it with me. So if you have any interest in that all whatsoever, I want to invite you to go to divorcemydebt.com, divorcemydebt.com. Because if you have any negative debt whatsoever, you want to get as far away from it as possible, because that's how the banks like keep you hooked, because it's almost like a fishing hole that they just loop into your mouth and they just hook it and allow you to never ever release, because every time you get close, those interest payments, they just keep going up and up and up. And it's like you can pay the principal what you owe, but that interest, you can't pay that. And it's like that's how they hook you in with all of these different fees and overdraft fees and bank draft fees and late. So listen, if you are sick of all of those fees, I want to invite you to go to divorcemydebt.com, divorcemydebt.com. And there, that workshop is all about showing you how to pay off all of your debt. Hear me out. Even if you have a house, this is going to show you how to pay off all of your debt in 9 years or less. Now, I know that might sound crazy, ridiculous, like not even believable to some people, but here's the reality. When you've done it, you have proof already. And everything is hard and difficult until you know how to do it and until you've already done it. Now, without going into a lot of detail about my own, finances currently, so the house that I live in is relatively new. We only people that lived in this house. Our house is going to be paid off in 7 years. 7 years. Using the same strategy that you can use. And again, we say, 9 years just to give some buffer, because when you say something that sounds too good to be true, most people like this is a scam. And I know it's a lot of stuff on the internet, but this is not one of those things. Now, I will say this. There's a ton of people that are talking about creating your own bank. Some of those people, they don't know what they're talking about, but it's a lot of people that really do know exactly what they're talking about. And I want to invite you to come and listen to somebody who I consider one of my trusted advisors. So again, if you have any interest in not just creating your own bank, but just getting out of debt, getting out of the system and creating your own system and borrowing money from yourself and paying back yourself and building up your own wealth and your own economy, I want to invite you to go to divorcemydebt.com. And here's the thing, if you got any value from this video, I want to ask you to consider liking and subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.